So thank y'all so much for coming out with us on this beautiful evening. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend this evening not only here with us, but these amazing poets and Amanda Johnston and the family here of Black Pearl Books. So first off, clap for y'all. Clap for y'all. Love that. Now I know y'all came to hear some great words, so I'm not gonna mince mine. Please, for the next individual to come to the mic, it is an individual that we know, that we love, and that we 100% respect the style and stilo she brings everywhere she goes. She was the Texas Poet Laureate. Yes. Woo! She is also a founder of Torch Literary Arts, founded to uplift Black women writers. Yes. Yes. And she's also a poet herself in her own right, putting people on and giving the words to the masses. And she's here to do that again for us tonight. So, the next voice on the mic, y'all please give it up for her, for the squad, and for everybody that came together to make this happen. Liz Amanda Johnston.
Micah, can you follow me everywhere? Hi, man. I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Yes, my name is Amanda Johnson. I'm the founder and executive director of Torch Literary Arts. Torch Literary Arts is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting and amplifying Black women writers. In addition to the Wildfire Reading Series, our In Conversation tonight that we do in partnership with the Texas Book Festival. We provide workshops, an annual retreat, and publish the award-winning Torch magazine, as well as curating other readings and special events for all lovers of literary arts. That's y'all.
Okay.
We will be celebrating 20 years of Torch Literary Arts next year. Y'all know that is no small feat. To be supporting with intention and love Black women writers from across the diaspora. And in doing that, we make sure that their work, their presence, their contributions to literature are amplified for all of us to enjoy, right? A great story is a great story, but not everybody gets to tell their story. So thank you for showing up to listen and receive the incredible work from the authors who'll be sharing tonight. Right. I also want to thank our dear, dear friends and partners, Black Pearl Books. Give it up for Black Pearl. Black Pearl is the Black-owned bookstore here in Austin, Texas. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Eric, for doing the hard labor of love to make this space available for all of us. I also want to thank our incredible funders who make Torch's programs possible. The City of Austin, the Burdine Johnson Foundation, the Austin Community Foundation, and the Texas Commission on the Arts, among others. I'd also like to thank all of our donors, many are here in the room, who are community impact members who generously give every month to fuel Torch's flame. Thanks to their generous support, tonight's event is available at no cost. Thank you to all of you. At no cost for you to attend, but yes, paying fees for our incredible writers. Our work is deserving and should be compensated. Right? Your support makes that possible. So if you are able to donate, please go to torchliteraryarts.org, make a contribution. None are too small or too large, but every single bit helps for us to keep doing the work that feeds into our community. Also want at this time, offer a gentle reminder to silence your phones. Nobody wants to be that person. I know I did mine. And now, please allow me to introduce our first reader tonight, Donika Kelly. Donika Kelly is the author of The Natural Order of Things, The Renunciations, winner of the Ansfield Wolf Book Award in Poetry, and Bestiary, the winner of the 2015 Africana Poetry Prize, a Hurst and Wright Legacy Award, and a Kate Tufts Discovery Award. You better get all them awards. A recipient of a fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts. She is a Cave Canem Graduate Fellow and Pushcart Prize winner. Her poems have been published in the New Yorker, the Atlantic, the Paris Review, and elsewhere. She is an associate professor in the English department at the University of Iowa. Welcome her back to Austin, Texas.
Hey y'all, how you doing? Good. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Amanda, for inviting me back. It's so good to be in Texas. So good to be in Austin. I had a little brisket, just to like hold me over, just to. It's lovely to be in this space, in this beautiful space that Katrina and Eric have made. This is gorgeous, and I wanted to tell you, my therapist on Tuesday, when did I see my therapist? Wednesday. She said, "Oh, I saw you in a magazine I get, Torch," and I was like, "Hey," in Iowa. So
Trust that therapist.
Ayana read and Torch. So, okay, wait, I'm gonna start my timer because I like to be timely. So I'm gonna read some poems from the new book. I'm really excited to have put together a book that is not sad. That feels like a miracle. Because I guess maybe I'm not sad so much anymore. So that feels interesting. Okay, so where are we gonna start? All right. So this poem is called "I Found Myself Careless in the Crossing." I grew, a young conifer evergreen in sorrow, yes, but in summer too, yellow from bark to heart, bound east or west by rivers, red with clay or blood or both. I was careless with my saplings, my seeds carried on the wind or in the gut of some ruminant bound to bank and the waters wandering. Silt in the water and the missing too. My grandparents on all sides, drawn west, breaching one river, another, until no river, bank, or crossing, but finally an ocean of sun they could die in. Each body returning to the source, the river of my mind running clean through the estuary of my mind, my own return, a watershed scaled to loss. This next poem. So, okay, I live in Iowa, and I have a good job, a beautiful wife, we have a nice house, but it's dry. The language is a little dry, it's not a lot of pizzazz. And so a couple of years ago, I had this thought that I wanted to bring the language of my family closer to me. And on my mom's side, both of her parents are from really like the same little town in Arkansas, and I was also writing a bunch of narrative poems, and I was like, I'm tired of writing narrative poems. I don't want to make narrative. I just want to make delicious sounds. And so I wrote a poem about the things we say when we play dominoes, and it's called "The Bone Museum." We say, "Give me a nickel." We say, "10 to get in." Grown folks say, "Shit." One time, Jimmy say, "Tennessee tidy all booty, no body." And now we all say it. We say, "Trees, please," or simply "fitting." We say, "Boat the door." We say, "Boat with a sail on it." Mama say, "Bear, come on out them woods." We knock. She say she know and run the board like she planned for the rent. Say, "And I'm out." Slam the bones hard enough to rattle to wake up the dead. I miss playing dominoes. I'm not good though. I want to be clear about that. I'm not a good. My mama actually did play for the rent, that was something. So, and those were not the stakes under which I was playing dominoes. So, my mama's good. I am a good support player. All right. So it was winter. I want to say it was the winter, maybe 2021. A little insurrection happening. Again, in Iowa. It was winter, and I had experienced winter by that point. I lived in Western New York for a little bit. I lived in New York City, but Iowa winter is something else because there's nothing to interrupt the wind. It's just bone-chilling, slicing, sharp wind. And I was tired of writing about winter, and so I decided I wanted to write about summer. And when I think about summer, I think about my great-grandma, I think about Arkansas. And so I wrote this poem just thinking about her. It's called Tell It Short. I'll tell it short, like Miss Jewel. First, the homeless summer, everything I owned packed into a blue tub in my red car's trunk. And where to go? My great-grandma, a new widow, and this summer, the first in 63 years without her Zach. Julie, mud deer, sitting by the window, peeping the shifting light, calling, "Who knock?" When I knocked, then stumbled into the house of cut-off, of scrap lumber, hot and damp as a mouth, and thank God for the porch that whistled the breeze where we sat and sweat. And couldn't Miss Jewel talk? And weren't the stories always the same? How I know I came honestly to refrain. Didn't I come bearing what gifts could delight, what token I could afford? Sugar-free peppermints and sugar-free ice cream. And quick she'd say, put a piece in my hand or put me a little in a bowl. I'm telling you, we hopped over in the bed together in the evenings, the old fan pushing air hot as my own skin and the blood besides, and Grandma murmuring, that fan is a little cool, isn't it? Pulling the quilt up to her neck. I'm telling you, I was little and lost the season. I learned to be still, to pass a piece of time with remembering, a comfort to remember now, to make present for a little while, to bring her as from a great distance closer. Y'all, but for real, it was so hot. She was like, that fan is cool. I was like, the fan is not cool. You do not have any blood. That's different. It was so hot. I just feel like my 19-year-old self just like, ah. Okay. All right, so this is another poem where I was really interested in sound. I was thinking about the kinds of things that we say in my family. So in this poem, who's in the poem? So my sister, Dee, is in the poem. My cousin Sherry's ex-boyfriend, Johnny Ray, is in the poem. My grandpa, Billy, I'm going to mention him a couple times. And there are two cows in this poem, Mary and Bullet. Just so you know. So I just feel like that's helpful. It's going to be what it is. We say it's going to be, it's going to be, it's going to be, it's going to be, it's going to be what it, it's going to be what it, it's going to be what it is, what it is. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you, let me ask you, young blood, let me ask you what it is, what it is. It's going to be, it's gone. I tried to told you, yeah, we pass all that, but I tried to told you, we pass, I tried to be what it is, young blood. I got damp, I say, I got damp, but I didn't get wet. That's what Johnny Ray said more than once. Dark road, backwoods, hogs behind fences, county road dark, country road dark, say it again. Say, I got damp, but I didn't get wet. Say it like Johnny Ray, I got damp, but I didn't get wet. Shake your head, young blood, I got you, young blood. I got what it is, what it's gonna be. What it is damp, young blood. Let me ask you something. You ever heard us say it's gonna be what it is? It's gonna be what it is. Gone, be, but we passed that. One county road down red dirt, it's gonna be country dark is what it's gonna be. Hog on roadside, a man, red dirt gonna be what it is. You got me bent, buddy. Dee said that. Said, you got me bent, buddy. Young blood, you hear Dee say you got me bent? You know one thing. She call you buddy, you know another. And what you know, young blood, is it's gonna be what it is, and what it is done. Put a fence on that road, buddy. Down that road. Down that red dirt once Billy was kicking in high cotton. He said that when he was 79, he said, kid, when I was 60, said, I was kicking in high cotton. That ain't what it is no more. Nah, what it is what it's gonna be. Cotton chopped down, the field overgrown. What it is abandoned. Wind singing through grass, which done took fences, porches, hoed rows, cows, Mary and Bullet long gone, Zach, who used to call their names, long gone. Julie too, Billy soon, any of us soon. Listen, I'm trying to remember, young blood. Forget, and what's lost could gut you like a hog. What it is, young blood, is gone, is in passes, and all we have left is what we say, and what we say, young blood, before the end, and that it is, it's gonna be what it is. We do say that a lot. It's not an exaggeration. All right. Okay. So I was in Seattle. I was in a park in Seattle, and there was a sticker on a sign, and the sticker said, "We came here to get away from you." And I was like, that's great. So this poem is called "We Came Here to Get Away from You." Port Townsend, Washington. And just, the poem does mention Emmett Till, not any of the details of his death, but he is in the poem. We came here to get away from you. Port Townsend, Washington. Downhill, a skeleton of an orca suspended, a female beached, belly full at that time of seal and fish, the seal and fish full at that time of poison. The volunteer, white bob, soft face, knew too the desire to see a body, its echoes suspended. Hope, the name given to a dead whale once located by clicks and whistles and echo and inlet and open sea. The volunteer tells me she visited the National Museum of African American History and Culture, said, "The saddest part to me, the Emmett Till, do you know him, exhibit." The whale, killer, weakened by a scaffold of old poison, DDT, PCBs, which no prey can process but holds in its fats, its tissues, its softest parts. See her southern scaffold, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. See, I hadn't thought to think of him here under the reconstructed skeleton I had come to see and once seen to mourn. She wanted to stand over his bones, his grave on her bucket list. She pushed into me her desire, the sound surfacing what had long ago leached into my softest parts. I wanted to hold her shoulders, vomit into her mouth this water full of dead or dying, to fill her with a little knowing, change her, heavy her, let the knowing wash her into the Salish at low tide, past driftwood and eelgrass, hope a warning at her back. I think it is wild to name a skeleton of a beached killer whale Hope. That's bananas. I was like, what are y'all doing out here? Okay, I think I'll read this one. What I might sing. Last Friday, I was thinking of Whitney Houston, and because of you, I was thinking too of America, what I might sing of it. In elementary school, I pledged allegiance. The opening words, still the fastest way for me to find my right hand, for my right hand to find my heart. I struggled to say indivisible, not individual or invisible, but the opposite of both. Over 30 years ago in my hometown, when I was a child in elementary school, faithful in my recitation to the flag, the LAPD pounded into a man's body on the side of the freeway, caught on tape, the camera candid, the verdict not guilty, my neighborhood ablaze, the smoke visible from the kitchen window and on TV. They peeled open too the loose fist of my family, my father and uncle and my aunt's boyfriend Virgil, almost an uncle, and who else besides? The fist black, the state blue, the flag limp in the classroom's corner, monotonous metonymy. For as long as I lived in Arkansas, my great aunt, now 88, who was born and will die just off Highway 79, my great aunt, who has a mind, mind you, worked the polls. Before I talked with her last Sunday, I'd imagined some politic romance, a fantasy of a black woman, a mother at Pleasant Home seeing me who remembers Jim Crow, the peanut gallery, the back doors, the lost jobs, big money gone, but she's still here. I imagined her practicing her franchise, volunteering her time, to my mind, righteous. Well, come to find out that she didn't vote until she was in her 30s for Kennedy. Come to find out that after she was fired from Snow White Cleaners after 30 years of service and no pension, well, $125 a day to work the polls, primary or general, was decent enough. The white woman whom my aunt called an overseer, kind enough. The money still necessary after my Uncle June died last year, but the position gone, the overseer gone, the two of us a chorus of, well, I was thinking of Whitney on the train this last Friday, having scrolled past that video of the LAPD refusing to revisit the first time I saw the machine of the state doing its oldest work. I was remembering Whitney singing Star Spangled Banner, her white tracksuit, the sweat under the lights above her lip, her vibrato jaw. But why was she singing? I was remembering America, thinking of you on my rumble home, the anthem I used to sing along to, my hand finding my heart because I was young and yielded to most things and still listen. Whitney sang the shit out of that song. Marvin, too, the year I was born, his shades a mirror, this poem a mirror I keep turning away from, all parts, no whole, and damn near nothing worth standing for. Thank y'all. I thought I might read a poem. I have some very dear. I have family here tonight. I got beloveds here tonight. And I thought I would read this poem for our friend, our family member Carlisha, who y'all are so cute. I'm gonna tell her, I'll be like, I said your name, and everyone, oh. She knows. But Car was. So when I lived here, I moved here when I was like 21. I left when I was 24. And I was in therapy. I had a great therapist. Her name was Dreama, which is a wild name for a therapist. And Dreama at one point was like, she was like, have you thought about being vulnerable? And I was like, no. Why would anybody do that? And she said, what do you think would happen? And I said, well, I would get hurt. And Dreama said, sure. She's like, but some other kinds of things could happen. You could have more intimate relationships. They could deepen, become stronger. And I was like, I don't know about that. So then the next year, I thought, let me talk to Carlisha about this. I feel like she might be able to help me. But it did take a year of me sort of mulling it over. And I called Car and I said, Dreama suggested that I try being vulnerable. Can I do that with you? And Car was like, yeah. I was like, cool. And she didn't go away. So I was like, maybe Dreama was on to something. Maybe. But this is for Carlisha. It's called Calling Always. I called you from the dark, dear heart, to practice making a door into a sealed room, the seal cracking, cracked by the song you made of my name, the talk long, the distance ecstatic, the dance ecstatic. I remember I said it plain, my breath foreshortened. I remember the room emptied, and we filled it with a light like hill country at midday. The walls fallen in, and I nearly with them more than once before your call, your home my own, the soft baby girl, the we are no longer young. The time between us, a gift that binds, and bound, grateful, I say our names in both the shadow and the light. And she liked the poem, which was dope. All right. So I think I'll read 3 more. So this is The Crone at Her Sink. Of course, the sink is never empty. Oh wait, let me say something about this poem. So this poem was written as a part of as a writing exercise where it's like take an everyday task. I gave it to my students, but I wrote along with them. Take an everyday task and then juxtapose it with, I think in this case, I asked them like a myth or a fable or fairy tale or something like that. And so this is a poem about washing the dishes. Kind of. The crone at her sink. Of course, the sink is never empty, or rather empties briefly, then is full again. The one plate, the one mug, the many spoons, a knife, which I sharpen, which dulls. Outside the window, night clatters, comes, the water drained, metal too, me too, sunk in the bed's shallow mouth, the pit I've worn into the ticking, the night like a sink full, trill of air rushing the spiracle, swelling the throat pouch, a silent wing, then scream, wet paw in the litter and the brush. Like the night I sink, small hollow in the throat, full of water, turgid, full of metal too. I feel with my paw the small holes of my body, the small ponds, the bank beside. Feel with my wing a shallowing cup, the spoon's horizon. I swallow, knife of the mind, which I sharpen, which I dull. A sword, I say to myself I say, choose. Do I empty? Am I full? I guess I'm full. That's not so much emptying these days. Okay. What you dare to open at the threshold. Open your eyes to a present bare as a winter tree. The tree, a raw nerve, not dead, but at rest. A mistake to think now is always. Soon enough the bud and bloom, the green leaf and husked fruit. Soon enough the small jaw makes of the hard shell dust, makes of the sweet meat a feast. What wild, soft hope to suppose that what was will be. For now, take the attitude of work, then the attitude of rest, then work, a curious industry, then rest. For now, grab the hand that pulls you up, the hand that gets you dressed, the hand that soothes you when you wake in the dark, startled and damp. Is the hand your own? So be it. Is the hand another's? So be it. There is a future in your mouth, smoky quartz on your tongue. Where will you hold it? Belly, teeth, or palm? Okay, and the last poem I'll read is called Suicide Watch, Spring. So much has happened that I would never have known I could remember. The trees here budding red before they flower, the hills scraped with rust before white, before petal, before green. The old dog sprayed by a skunk last fall, carrying the burning oil in his ruff, there still if you breathe deeply enough. Last night, the raccoon frozen mid-lane before my headlights, that I whispered, "Get along, little friend," to its flashing eyes, my rummaged heart. Reading, always in the sun. Always my chest, a sail belled with my own words with every breath on stage. Loving you in the dark, some small animal in the grand scheme. Loving you in the morning, the light breaking like a heart over the plains of our bodies, some small planet in the grand scheme. That I'm happy sometimes to be alive, that such happiness could have happened at all. Thank y'all so much.
All right, y'all. We have another incredible author to introduce. Please allow me to welcome Tiana Clark. Tiana Clark is the author of the poetry collections Scorched Earth, a 2025 finalist for the National Book Award for Poetry. Y'all better be watching and cheering me this month. I Can't Talk About the Trees Without the Blood, which won the 2017 Agnes Lynch Starrett Prize, and Equilibrium, which won the 2016 Frost Place Chapbook Competition. See a theme with these award-winning writers here. Clark's other honors include a Pushcart Prize, the Kate Tufts Discovery Award, and fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Bread Loaf Writers Conference. She is a graduate of Vanderbilt University and Tennessee State University, where she studied Africana and Women's Studies. She is the Grace Hazard Conkling Writer in Residence at Smith College, but she is here with us tonight.
Come
Please
on.
welcome Tiana.
Wow, I'm just still processing your beautiful and just amazing reading, Donika. Thank you so much, Amanda and Torch, for having me here. Thank you to Black Pearl Books. It's such a beautiful bookstore. A quote that I've been carrying with me lately in all this madness is the end of Rita Dubb's poem Transit, which says, "Let it be said, in the midst of horror, we fed on beauty, and that, my love, is what sustained us." And I feel like tonight is the beauty. Donika, you offer such beauty. I love that you said you were so invested in just delicious sounds, because I felt that as I metabolized your beautiful sonics. Two quick short stories about Donika Kelly in my life. So it's actually kind of interesting, because even before we knew each other, I think we almost knew our lives have had these really interesting intersections with Los Angeles and then Nashville and then now here. but Donika was in the PhD program at Vanderbilt when I was doing my MFA. Or maybe were you done?
I think I was done.
You were done. But I kind of stopped the MFA program before I got in, so I think I knew of Donika. But when it was time for my thesis defense, I was like, because there was a lack of Black professors at Vanderbilt, I was like, you're gonna need to bring Donika Kelly back and be on my thesis. But I'll never forget during my thesis defense, Donika asked me a question that has haunted me my whole life. And I now ask my students this question, but Donika was like, what is your relationship to the line? And it's a simple question, but it's actually a very difficult question. And I remember kind of like struggling and not knowing, and then afterwards I went to Donika and I was like, I'm sorry, I feel like I flubbed that one. I was like, what is your relationship? And he was like, oh, I'm still figuring it out. And I was like, wait, we're allowed to say that in a defense? But what I tell my students too, it's like you have this ongoing relationship with the line that changes. You know, to me, each book has a different relationship with the line. And so I love that question. And that question also guides into other short stories that you're so brilliant, but you also have this casualness about your brilliance that gives me such ease. And I remember we went to lunch and I said, Donika, I'm struggling in interviews. Like, I just want to sound smart and I just want to be smart, but I feel like I'm not sounding smart. And Donika was like, you don't have to be smart, you are smart. And again, it's so simple, but I was like, oh, I am. I don't have to like force it. But so I'm struggling to find a new therapist, so I'm taking these little tidbits from you. I wanted to write an essay called My White Whale, trying to find a Black therapist in New England, but it's been a struggle. Speaking of, I was going to start with a poem. This poem is called My Therapist Wants to Know About My Relationship to Work. And I wanted to start with this poem. I actually wasn't going to, but then when you were talking about Torch, Amanda, it was making me think, is there another a literary nonprofit that supports Black women writers?
Not the same way.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think the organization exists like this, and I've always been drawn to Phyllis Wheatley Peters, the first African-American woman poet in America, and I actually got to see her book. It's actually if you go to Boston, it's actually at the Boston Tea Party Museum, because if you don't know, her book was actually on the Dartmouth. That was the first ship attacked in the Boston Tea Party. They only went for the East India Company tea, they didn't touch the books, but they have like an inscription from Phyllis being like, where are my books? I mean, that's my paraphrase, but basically she's like, where are my books? Are they okay? But I think about Phyllis a lot because she manumitted herself through her poetry, but we don't have her second collection.
Right.
Her second collection she wrote when she was free. But we don't have that book because she didn't have that support. And what a lot of people don't realize, of course we wanted that freedom, but when, at certain junctures in history, when certain slaves got free, it was actually extremely dangerous because there wasn't support. And so she died kind of in obscurity. Some say that she might have, given birth to, I think, her third or fourth child that also died shortly after, and that she might have had pneumonia. But the point is that we lose her in the archives because afterwards she's just working so many jobs to support herself. And then her last letters, even to Obor Tanner, who was another enslaved African, she's asking her, like, hey girl, you got me for my next book? Again, this is my paraphrase language, but she's hustling for book money to support herself. And reading those letters, I was so shocked that, man, even in that time period, she is trying to survive as a writer. So I just want to say thank you to Torch, and thank you for what you're doing, Amanda, to support writers like us, and to pay us, which is important. So thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. And with that, my therapist wants to know about my relationship to work. I hustle upstream, I grasp, I grind, I control and panic, poke balloons in my chest, always popping there. Always my thoughts thump, thump, I snooze, wake, and go boom. All day like this, I short my breath, I scroll and scroll, I see what you wrote, I like, I heart. My thumbs so tired, my head bent down, but not in prayer, heavy from the looking. I see your face, your phone-lit faces, I tap your food 2 times for more hearts. I retweet, I email yes, yes, yes. Then I cry and need to say no, no, no. Why does it take so long to reply? I FOMO and shout, I read, I never enough. New book, new post, new ping, new tab, then another. Papers on the floor, scattered and stacked. So many journals, unbroken white spines, waiting. Did you hear that new? I start to text back, ellipsis, then I forget. I bulk, I lazy the bed. I wallow when I write, I truth when I lie. I throw a book when a poem undoes me. I underline Clifton, today we are possible. I start from image. I begin with Phyllis Wheatley. I begin with Phyllis Wheatley. I begin with Phyllis Wheatley reaching for coal. I start with a napkin receipt or my hand. I muscle the memory. I stutter the page. I fail, hit delete, scratch out one more line. I sonnet, then break form. I make tea, use 2 bags, rooibos again. I bathe now, Epsom salt, no books or phone, just water and the sound of water filling glory be my buoyant body, bowl of me. Yes, lavender, more bubbles and bath bomb, of course some candles too. All alone with Coltrane, my favorite Naima, for his wife, now for me. Inside my own womb, again I child back, I float, I sing, I simple and humble. Eyes closed, I lower my voice. Was it a song? Don't know, but I stopped. I got really excited because when I got into my hotel room, there's a beautiful bathtub in there with bubbles. They actually and bubble bath. So I'm going to take a long ass bath tomorrow. So I got really excited about that. I also got excited. I said immediately yes, number 1 for Torch, number 2 for Donika, and then I remembered today. I was like, oh, Donika is in one of my poems, and so I was like, Broken Ode for the epigraph. Okay, who's ever said they're too much in their life? Oh, just me? Okay, thank you. Just the 2 of us? You've been too much. You're too much. Too much. Okay, I was like, thank you. This is for my too much people.
Thank you.
Lean into your too muchness. You're not too much for me. And I've been told that quite often. And I also love epigraphs. And I am kind of a maximalist in every possible way. And I'd always get really in trouble in grad school because they'd be like, Tiana, can you just maybe not have like 7 epigraphs? And I'm like, no. And so I was like, I wanted to write a poem where I just like indulged in all my obsessions and I just like didn't care what people think. So this is for my too much people. Be your effing selves. Broken Ode for the epigraph, which begins with an epigraph from Erica L. Sanchez, which reads, who gave me permission to be this person? Oh, intertextuality. Oh, little foyer to my poem. Oh, little first and foremost, my amuse-bouche, meaning mouth amuser. A little glimpse of the meal to come, and if I could, I would add an epigraph over everything. Wait, who says I can't? I've always been too much, and I'm just now beginning to cherish this too muchness, booming late Baroque rococo in my chest, little shells of scattered light decorating the caves in my poems. I wish people came with little epigraphs tacked on their foreheads. A little foreshadow couldn't hurt. I wish fruits had a few ripe lines above their plume numbers, a little sneaky peeky of the pulp to come. Oh, little cup holder for my quotes, I love how you hover over the house of my poem like a cloud from another book or a bite from another lover. A way to say I just couldn't help myself here. See, I cut out these lines for you like fuzzy flower stems severed at an angle, and they were briefly dead until I placed them in a vase on top of my poems, prolonging their life again. Such moxie. Because if anything, the epigraph is a little clay container of water, and I placed these blossoms in a vase of life juice because you are visiting the home of my poem, and I want you to feel special, and I think fresh cut flowers might make people feel sacchariferous. At least they do for me, especially when my mother-in-law walks barefoot into her gorgeous garden and snips the long lit stems from the sun bursting forsythia bush, even though we haven't talked in months, even though I wrote a poem about her that hurt her, a poem that started with an epigraph from Natasha Trethewey, and we talked about it over email and then over coffee, and then there was forgiveness, both sides, and that was it. See, the flowers. I've always deeply loved Natasha Trethewey's work because her parents are like my parents, black mom, white dad, another type of epigraph, white. Do you understand what kind of permission that releases inside of me? Do you understand how cellular and specific? Sometimes it's important to know about the blood before the poem starts. Who makes up these rules about procedure anyway? I come from clutter. I feel safe under that little liminal space below the title, underneath the stairs, and below that first line. Toy Darracott writes, I am not afraid to be memoir. Yes, I feel a great affection for Toy Darracott because she has a similar first name as my grandmother, but spelled differently. And also because she drew her beloved dead fish Telly in my copy of The Undertaker's Daughter, writing, Telly loves you, with the bubbles and everything. Well, then I am not afraid to be the epigraph, damn it. I am joyfully trying to break every rule about poem making that I know. I want to wake up and like myself more. I want to wake up and like myself more. I want to wake up and like myself more and believe it each time I repeat it. I want to revel in my poems the way Donika Kelly does. Have you heard Donika talk about her poems? Do it. Absolute pleasure. I want more of that giddy precision. I want to wake up and address myself like the badass motherfucking epigraph that I am. Hello, epigraph! I am beginning my body before my body begins. I want to start my day with somebody else's words. For example, this morning I started with Ross Gay's The Book of Delights, and I keep grinning and underlining words like delight radar and delight muscle, and that image of stacking delights like pancakes, and I can hear Ross's voice as I read them, his joyous timbre shouting inside these smile-inducing sentences, which linger over the blue length of my day. And I just got back from AWP in Portland, where I heard Jose Olivares say, lean into length, on a panel about poetry podcasts. I wrote it down, and underneath his words scribbled, possible epigraph. Epigraph, a little foreplay, a little playful forest. I'm safe now, so I can play. A little forecast of my mood and tone, a little incantation, little wordy satellites in the white spaces orbiting the sky parlor of my poems. Epigraph my father I've never met. I meet and let him go at the beginning of every poem that I write. It isn't lost perpetually dripping sap from the injured trees bruised or cut in our knuckles as we write. Sticky sap spilling from the wound, pitching to survive the bites. And aren't we all writing the same damn poem over and over again anyway? Didn't Jack Spicer allude to that once while translating Lorca? I want to go back to that first epigraph. The easy association would be God, right? Like this. So God coos above the waters of the pre-world, scanning over all that gooey potential, a bajillion possibilities, millions of us already there, little epigraphs in the making, gleaming in that first sentence-struck light, the imperative big bang of God's never-ending breath. But what if that first epigraph wasn't so spectacular? What if it was just someone messaging me on one of those spit-in-a-tube DNA ancestry sites, saying that they're my second cousin, saying that they know how to get in touch with my dad, saying that they gave him my number and my email address, saying that they told him I didn't want or need any money, but how he still never reached out. So I guess that was a sleight of hand. So it's team too much and team daddy issues. So you could be both, which is what I am, which is a great combination for a writer. After the reading, now that I've been doing this for a while, we're not doing a Q&A tonight, but we will on Saturday. But I like reading this poem now because now this poem has become a cautionary tale of what not to ask me. And I love reading it because now people are scared to ask me questions. So like, oh, I don't want to end up in your poem. And I'm like, good, have that energy with me. Have that energy. Because I think especially as a Black writer, we could ask, I've been asked crazy questions, have you all? So one day I just got fed up and I was like, I just poured all of the questions, the weirdness after the reading time into this poem, after the reading. We should do a group collective one and see what happens. After the reading. After the reading, someone asked me if my husband left me or I left him. After the reading, someone asked me if there was a chance for reconciliation as I shoved a pulled pork sandwich in my mouth with Carolina Gold barbecue sauce oozing out the sides like neon yellow lava. After the reading, someone asked me if I still pray to God as I sipped a fizzy Diet Coke and the ice cubes huddled and softly clinked around my upper lip, leaving a wet mustache. After the reading, someone said they had been divorced too and then scurried away in a way that I completely understood. After the reading, a woman told me I was worthy as if I was shattered, while I picked up crudité with a copious dollop of ranch dressing. After the reading, a white woman thanked me for my angry poems. I told her they were about my joy, and then she touched my forearm and said, no, they're about your rage, insisting. After the reading, someone said they cried, another gave me a kind word, thank you. After, I went home and changed into my cheetah print pajamas. I wrapped my hair and brushed my teeth. I got in bed and played a sci-fi show on my laptop. The actors on the show were trying to find a way to talk to aliens by using math and pheromones. I Googled the height of one of the actors. He is 6'4". I fell asleep while watching the show about the people in space trying to communicate in first contact. Intergalactic noises beeped and swirled around the room like bees. So don't say anything crazy to me or Donika. Or I don't know, Donika, I don't know where you stand. Okay. Yeah. It took me so long to realize that I also didn't have to answer some of the questions. I think I had people-pleasing energy the first couple years. I'll never forget. It's actually, I don't know if you were there, Donika. Were you there when Carl Phillips came to Vanderbilt? But I'll never forget, he gave this gorgeous reading, and there was a PhD student, not calling them out. And it was one of those, the question, comment, question, where it's just they just want to hear themselves talk, and there's not really a question. It was just really like an Ouroboros of their ego. And Carl was just like, and then Carl Phillips just went, yeah, sure. Next question. And I was like, dang, we can do that? That's on the table? Great. I didn't know that. So I was really lucky. I was awarded the Amy Lowell Traveling Poetry Traveling Grant, which is awarded to usually one poet, but for my year it was two poets. It was me and also Ama Kojo. Is it Kojo or Kajo? Kojo, okay. Incredible poet, Bluest Nude, get the book, incredible. Although I will say, just to call, I'm thankful to Amy and the old New England money, but I also want to say the award started in 1954. And Alma and myself were the first Black poets to ever get the award, and we were awarded in, I think, 2022. Interesting. I'm not good at math, but it's a lot of years, yeah. But super cool, thanks for the money. And so I love going to kind of coastal sea towns off season, and so I was in Margate in the UK, and this is called Maybe in Another Life. I think of the kids I may or may not have. I think about their hair, the possible dark brown curls, baby fingers tapping on my face. I haven't made up my mind yet, but my body is making decisions before I am ready to make them. I can't seem to say what it is I want out loud. I can almost see all my different lives, almost taste them, like trying to catch the tail end of a cinematic dream before it evaporates. I want to capture it, a glimpse, sneak a peek at each distant future before the view master reel clicks. I want to follow the perfume of each life I could live and linger in it. The vanillas, milk leaking from my breast, cereal, the piquant odor of parenthood. The one where I am a mother negotiating happiness. The one where I am not a mother and still negotiating happiness, beauty, and rest. Almost 39, and I've never loved myself more. Yet nostalgia wavers all around me like a montage of mirages, muddling memories, complicating hope, making me miss things I've already mourned. The bargaining, and a bitch, the bargaining aspect of grief. To constantly release that which I've already let go of. But how the water in my mind brings it all back like the flood current each day, and each morning in the ebb, I see the sea floor for what it is. Another landscape of loss and renewal. Another augur deciphering the tea leaves in the tide pool, revealing the children I might never name, have, or hold. There's a finite number of eggs and books inside me. I'm trying to release them. I'm trying to mourn the possible futures bursting before me in a fantastic finale of fireworks bursting in my mouth like red caviar as I try to find the right words to say goodbye to little faces I can only imagine. I'm not sure what I want. Each decision seems to dissolve at the edge of the beach, softened by the watercolor cream of winter floating above the same shore where Eliot wrote The Wasteland after a mental breakdown 101 years before me, writing, on Margate sands, I can connect nothing with nothing. I keep looking at the gentle waves for answers without trying to make another metaphor. What if the image of what I'm feeling is too heavy to be carried over into language? Maybe in another life, you get to live out all the lives you've imagined. Maybe in this life, I become who I am by not knowing. Okay, I'm feeling led to read this poem. Actually, so I heard Sharon Olds say one time that she always brings a poem with her that she's afraid to read. And sometimes she doesn't read it, but she never regrets it when she does. So I always have like one on standby. And I was like, am I gonna read this tonight? But then my grad school buddy is here. I won't say this person's name because when I read this poem, it might embarrass them. But I have complicated feelings about the workshop, the American form of workshop that was started at Iowa. Do you want to explain? Didn't get no, but my grad school buddy, it would always be so funny because I think we had like a lot of telepathic whenever there'd just be like a crazy things happening in the workshop or whenever like someone said something, we would always kind of look at each other. That actually has nothing to do with the poem, but I think we both kind of, I personally grew up in kind of trying to figure out who I was and my relationship to myself. And I remember Gabrielle Cavalcresi came to UW-Madison, Wisconsin during my fellowship, my postdoc fellowship year there. and they were doing a workshop called The Queer Voyage. And I'm obsessed with Gabrielle Calvert-Cressy, and everyone should read the new book, The New Economy, which is also a finalist for the National Book Award. It's astonishing. But I was like, Gabby, can I come to the workshop? I'm not queer, but I love you so much, but I don't want to invade the space, and I'm an ally. And Gabby's like, come on. Little did I know, I was like being called to the workshop because and then this poem kind of came out of me, and I was like, oh, I guess I had been burying this for a long time. So Gabby brought in this really old poem called The Seafarer. I think it's from the 10th century. And indeed, hotter for me are the joys of the Lord. Thank you all so much. So I'm a little scared, so if you can give me some good energy, can I have some good energy, everyone? Okay. I'm gonna take a sip of water, because this is like a... Okay. Indeed, hotter for me are the joys of the Lord. After the Seafarer and Gabrielle Calvert-Cressy. I can make a true song about my body, a ship, my body, a map, them tacked with shame. Who has the audacity to take up this much space? I can make a long poem too and not say sorry for me, myself. I carry myself like an excuse. I carry myself constellated with worries. I say sorry for me, myself. I carry my borders like a burden. I carry the borders of my body like a burdened beast. But how often have I endured the storm-driven words of long-winded white men, hot about my heart, my house slave heat, my mighty thighs burst cobalt in their reaching and reaching without completion. Me, myself, always on the rim of coming and not coming. A poem hurts like that, doesn't it? A familiar frustration, all that grunting and grinding, then saying nothing after the peak animal sounds. But a body has to spill, right? So I took the pleasure as myself and touched myself there. Can I call that God? Can I perhaps want that more than God? Does God still want me when I don't want God? Does God still want me when I succumb to other gods? Does God still know my name? Does God still know my name when I'm wet and worn from all that nasty shame? Unzipped by desires I'm not ready to name. Last night I couldn't sleep, so I raised my hands, another kind of reaching. I whispered, take this tight sea out of the bog in my breast, my spirit out in the rigid waterways. The rapid river lifts for a moment, and for a moment I'm freer. But it all cascades, everything ricochets back inside me, inside my wonky mud drum of a body, booming a thick morass of want. But can't that be a type of worship too, on my knees like a sub, my mouth gagged with a pink ball of poems, getting what I want, and then losing it, begging for what I need but never getting it? If my body be a long poem, then I want it to go wherever it needs. I lick dirty verbs in my teeth and feast. I go back to the buffet with my dirty plate because I want my body to say all it has to say, not be sorry for the saying of it. I want the long poem of my body to not apologize for the space it needs to make and make up. I want to relax inside a long poem and not feel shame. Who do you think you are? I repeat. I am what the long poem says about me. I am the seafarer, hotter about the Lord, cold yet searing with unmet pleasure and exile, elemental in my suffering. I want to stop the repetition that says I'm shit, I'm ugly, I'm shit, I'm ugly, I'm nothing, I want to stop the wrist from erasing my black breast. I want to stop my gratitude from being made a weapon formed against me, and I want this all from the not sorry long poem, and I want that giant, luscious, deep wanting to never stop in me. I want me to not stop me. Lord, please don't stop, get it. Who do you think you are without shame? Enough. My body a pool of pleasures and my own pleasure first. I'm done with lying there, clenching from pain, taking pain, absorbing another person's pain and calling that pleasure. My body a ship, my body be a long poem, my body without shame, without shame. G tells us to draw a map of how we got here. G says start anywhere. G says make a boat out of paper. G reads a long poem called The Seafarer while we make little paper boats. Little scratches, soft music scrapes from all the folding and tucking and folding, little vessels, little selves of ourselves. G wants to walk us down to the lip of fresh water and burn the boats, but Lake Mendota is frozen over. G wants to know about the engines inside long poems. G has a sound and a symbol. I want a sound and a symbol, but I'm not ready. I'm not ready to say what I've always wanted. I'm not ready to point at what I so achingly desire from my body or a lover, because it is also what I fear most about me is myself. I'm not ready to know what that might mean. I might just need a longer voyage in this queer body shaking as it's being named, called forth and created from my years of silence. My years frozen as a little girl who wasn't allowed to desire other girls. I'm choosing to mourn her here and celebrate her here in this long poem that is my body on the brink. But I still want joy at the end. I still want to risk joy at the end. I still want the repetition of joy at the end, and God at the end is my joy, my body maximal joy, and G is joy. And G makes a praise house for all of us. and all of us are welcome there. This is where we have our homes now. Follow me thither and find belonging and joy, our joy. Look at how much grief and gratitude is found in our new city. My God, what wholeness. G says what a lucky sack of stars we are. Let there be thanks to G and God at the end. And at the end, I want my sound and symbol to be loosened from snow. Mary Rueful's snow, to be exact. Her long poem tumbles after sex and death and birds and sex, but mostly death because the poem about sex is mostly about departure. I want to start and end from water. I took my boat to the frozen lake anyway. I did this ceremony with my bones, bread, and blood. I laid my questing boat body down on the ice. My long poem is burning. I set it on fire with my belly. I blew my breath for the blaze to rise. I said nothing to my vessel. I said nothing to my vessel. I said nothing for the rest of the day. I said my body dipping in the distance, ice skating through a veil of white static. I watched until the snow held the body completely. I watched till I was complete. I watched till I was gone. Amen.
Thank you.
Woo! Round of applause for Tiana Clark. Round of applause for the music choir. Round of applause for Black Pearl Blood. Round of applause for Torch Literary Arts. And round of applause for all of you. Thank you so much for coming out. We will not do a Q&A because we want to entice you all to come to the panel at the Texas Book Festival this weekend.
Yes.
We will be inside the Capitol at 10:15. You don't want to miss that. I love being inside the Capitol because I feel like it's our opportunity to leave a little good juju in the chamber, you know, like just spread it around. Only good can come from us being there, right? So come and enjoy an incredible conversation. We'll be talking about, some of the work that you heard here, and just, having a good old time, as we like to do at Torch. But do shop. We are in a beautiful bookstore. This is Austin's only Black-owned bookstore. We want to patronize them. Please give them your money, buy books, and buy these incredible poets' books, because they will happily sign them while you are here, all right? Thank you so much for coming, everyone. We have to see you next time.